The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Atlas Chiropractic Center of Escanaba, Michigan, Largent Media, or any of their affiliates or subsidiaries. The material and information presented in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Should you need medical attention or advice, seek out a licensed medical professional or facility in your area. The Tapping Into Uncomfortable with Reade Hubert DC name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service.
Brothers and sisters, that's right. The first inaugural podcast of Tapping Into Uncomfortable. What we want you to do is to get uncomfortable. But first, I need you to lend that 60% fat-laden brain of yours that sits between your ears. But first, a moment of silence for the riff. Here it comes. Oh yeah, this is where it starts right now. Oh yeah, sweet. Hey everyone, welcome to the first inaugural official podcast of 4 T's to a Better You, which is the subtitle to the podcast, but the podcast itself is called Tapping Into Uncomfortable. Now, if that makes you uncomfortable, congratulations. What we're going to try to do here is we're going to try to tap into being uncomfortable, that maybe you'll make some changes. Sometimes that's what it takes. What I want you to do is get to the point to where you don't have your oh no moment or I'm sorry moment with your health. I want you to have an aha moment. And what I found after 27 years of doing this, working extensively with many patients, is discomfort, a small amount, is good for you. And what it'll do, it'll challenge you. So either you'll go back into where you were, not make any changes, not look forward to, or preventing further diseases. But what you can do now is take this, use that discomfort, and move forward. That's why we call it tapping into uncomfortable. I was debating on using that because right now, everybody's so traumatized. Every second of every day, that's all you see. Social media has turned into a mess, and it's really messing with people. So let's talk about the book that's coming out. So got a book coming out this year. It's called 4 T's to a Better You, a blueprint for identifying and addressing the 4 causes or categories of cause of sickness. Yep, you heard it. I'm crazy enough to tell you that there is only 4 categories of cause that cause sickness or disease in the human body. There's thoughts, toxins, trauma, and I added a 4th. We've known about the 3 for many, many years, well over 100 plus. It's been as far back as toxins, knowing that people have been poisoned thousands of years ago, to autosuggestion, which is thoughts, and of course trauma, which killed our ancient ancestors. That was the number 1 killer for them. Rocks falling on them, get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, that kind of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to tear apart each individual T. First one, we're going to start with thoughts, which follows chapter 1. So let's get started. So what are thoughts? What we're going to deal with thoughts here, we are not going to deal with subconscious thoughts. What I am totally dealing with is your conscious thoughts. That is the cellular machinery that makes the thought. How do you take care of that? But secondly, the thoughts that you can change, that you can manipulate, that you can totally change your life. What you don't understand and people don't think about it, your brain is your life. Everything exists because of your brain. So let's take care of it. So what are these thoughts? Thoughts are chemistry. We do not know to this day, and we're going to have a very difficult time when you take things from the abstract, which is this thing that we don't know anything about. Then it becomes physical into the nerve chemistry, gives rise to your thought. So if you really looked at something, these are what you're thinking, these are what you're feeling, and that's what I'm interested in, that you know it. Subconscious, not going there. Those are very difficult. People need help, and I even think people need help with their conscious thoughts. And I think it's a great idea. So that's what we're talking about, what you can do about it. So it's important to realize that everything is connected. The 4 T's layer upon each other. So let's tear apart the first one. So what can you do about this? All right, so let's talk about this where it makes it applicable. Your brain is 60% fat and lovely proteins. It's an ugly looking thing, but it's animated. And what we're talking about is keeping that animation happy. So where do these thoughts come from? A lot of your thoughts come from, and things that you can help with, are generational thinking. A lot of the way you're looking at life and seeing things is because it was given to you. So let me give you an example. So you were raised by people that said, life is not fair, life is tough, and I need to make you tough to deal with life. How are you going to look at it? It's going to be a fight. Everything's out to get you. That's what you need to change. And what you can do is start to reprogram yourself. So how do you do this? A huge thing to help you is meditation or prayer. What that does is get your brain relaxed. You get it to calm down, and then you can start gently reprogramming. Your brain reprograms through repetition. You building pathways. The one thing I put in my book, and I want you to understand, is that thoughts, good and bad, are normal. But what is not normal is your mental habits. They say that 48% of your day is already planned out for you. Your brain has it planned out. You wake up at this time, you take a shower at this time, you have your coffee at this time. If you want to change your life, sometimes that's what you have to change. So what we want you to do is to change your habits. It's that simple. What happens is, and people don't understand, how you actually change your life is making decisions. Now, I'm going to get a little crazy here, okay? But if you look at your life and every time you make a decision, that's the direction that your life takes. How many times you sat back and gone, man, I wish I would have done this. My life would have been different. You're right. So change your life by changing your thoughts. So let's talk about what I'm seeing in my office right now after 27 years. I'm going to give you 3 really simple things. Then we're going to talk about depression. What I want you to do is take these 3 things, very simple, take them to heart and practice them. First, number 1 is be grateful. Oh my goodness. I read an article on the internet the other day, and a guy sat and he wrote down, and he wrote this article, tried to sound intelligent. And he says, I was grateful and it didn't help. That's not what I said. Be grateful. Keep going. Be happy with where you're at. You know that Finland has been ranked as the number 1 healthiest country. Consistently, Denmark, Finland, they were last year. You know what the number 1 thing these people have that the rest of us don't have is they're grateful for what they have. So practice being grateful. Second thing, I want you to learn acceptance. I want you to take responsibility for where you're at. At that point, you go, here's who I am. Here's what I've been dealt. Accept it. Move forward. Very important. What I'm seeing today is people are not learning acceptance. They're talking about their problems. They're not fixing your problems. Be grateful. Learn acceptance. Be okay with who you are. And then understand as you move forward with being more positive, work on changing yourself. Be easy on yourself and give it time. Time is very important. In my book, I have a whole section at the end of each T that talks about time and time to get sick, but also time to get well. So learn acceptance. It's okay to be you. Just slowly work on being a better you, but don't get crazy focusing on you need it now and you need to be better. Number 3, to help yourself in this new year, feel forgiveness. Ooh, that's a tough one. See, we always talk about forgiving. Forgiving is more for you than it is for the other person, because I really don't think if a person says that, well, I forgive you, they've already moved on. That's cool, but you haven't. So I want you to feel forgiveness. I don't want you to talk about forgiving. I want you to feel it. As we go on here today, there's one part we're going to put in here where I'm going to ask you not to feel. I'm going to ask you to use pure logic, because what happens in the human brain is we add bad mental habits, we tie them to emotion. That's the problem, folks. I can give you a smell, and that could elicit PTSD. I can give you a smell, and you can go, wow, I remember that cup of coffee in Italy sitting down there. Or I can give you a smell and bring you right back to your childhood. Smells are the number 1 memory recaller in the human body. So I want you to feel forgiveness. But here's the really cool thing. Let's bring time in again. I didn't tell you to feel forgiveness now. It takes time. But hopefully you can drop some of your stuff. You can learn to go, I'm cool. I'm okay. And then be positive and grateful for what you have. Does that mean your life is going to be fixed? No. But that's something you can work on instantly, within seconds. That'll help you. And that's what I'm seeing in my office, dealing with people, especially over the last 10 years. I've had the blessing of taking care of people who were born in the 19s in the hundreds and then the 1920s. They were tough. What they did, they built resiliency. And they were very pleased that they were sitting in their warm home. They were just happy to be in a warm home. These were the people that used outhouses, and they were very pleased. So those are 3 things I want you to do. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about depression. Everybody out there is talking, everybody's depressed. Everybody's having issues. But where we're at in this time is we're having more problems than solutions. And that's a big problem. Never used to be that way. So what I want for you is, let's talk about depression. Let's talk about depression from the 4 T's. Okay, so everybody thinks that depression is just a thought problem. It's not. By the time you have chronic depression, you have evolved all 4 T's. So let's talk about how the human body works. So depression, we know that you are your mental chemistry. So do you think the human body supplies its chemistry to the brain? You bet. There is a cell in the intestine, small intestine, called the endocrine 2 cell. And what it does, it is responsible for making and storing 80% of your serotonin, which is a major player in depression. So how do you feel when you have a stomach bug? You just don't feel well. COVID came through. I'm seeing a ton of that in my office after what COVID's going through and how it's really messing with the digestive system. How's the brain fog? Yeah, it's a big issue. So you do not have a good diet. Your chances of having very good brain chemistry and being able to be positive and move forward and learn acceptance, be grateful and feel forgiveness decreases, as well as thoughts. So you have poor thinking causes depression. Poor diet can cause depression. Trauma to your brain, the other T. I'm dealing with a couple folks right now with not severe brain trauma, but I'm here to tell you chronic concussion causes physical problems, changes your brain chemistry, changes your anatomy, and causes it too. And then periodically you'll get a person that is prone physically through chromosomes, traits, to have depression. See, people don't realize depression is not, and its cure is not all mental. You can't just give chemicals to a person to help with their depression and then leave them on it forever. What is the cause? Why did that happen? Was it a traumatic moment? Then we need to deal with that moment. But neurochemistry is very important from what I'm seeing in my office. People, you need that. It's okay to take that. But I haven't met anybody that really wants to be on it. So how do you take care of it? Diet, positive thinking, meditation, prayer, faith in something greater than yourself, sleep, water, good positive people. See where I'm going with this? And stop traumatizing yourself. So depression itself involves all of that. So in order to truly fix, hopefully get stronger, get better, maintain, that's what you're going to have to do. If you choose to do it, you have a better shot. Is that a guarantee? Nope. There are no guarantees. That's the thing about health, because you are only you. You are so different. People have no idea. We talk about DNA, but imagine this. Your microbiome is probably about 120 trillion single-celled organisms. Now, I didn't say billion. I said trillion. And they're living in you, and they are so wholly responsible for some of the most amazing things that go on in your body. So if you're not taking care of yourself, you're more prone to depression. It's absolutely fascinating when you realize that if you were to look at the top of a funnel, that's what we're doing in this country. We're looking at the top with all the information. What I'm able to do is take it, squeeze it down, bring it down, and bring it down to 4 causes so that you can make changes. I don't care what you have. So if you have depression, you have seasonal depression, or if things aren't going your way, what category is it in? And then gently work on it, and then gently work on all 4 categories if you can. It's that simple. Does that mean it's going to work all the time? No, absolutely not. Does that mean you're not going to have medication? No, not true. If you need medication, great. I'm a firm believer everybody needs to go to counseling and needs to learn how to diffuse anxiety, because right now, folks, anxiety is off the charts, but it's also coinciding with these 4 T's, thoughts, toxins, trauma, and traits are exploding across the world. That's an issue. And that's the second reason that I wrote that book, so that it's dealt with the consumer. It has 2 big words, autophagy or autophagy. And the second word is completely up to you. So I wanted to introduce you to that, how to help yourself, how you can move forward, how you can help your family, especially changing it for your children. Generational thinking, folks, is a really big thing, and you have to question it. What happens in your life is you get to the point where you take your kid goggles off. Kid goggles are, you never saw what you saw before. You never saw that family member was this way, or you never saw that your friend was an alcoholic. And then you realize that it's been there the whole time. You just never saw it. Come up with some hard truths, work on those 3 things. And now my favorite part of the show. This part of the show is called Time to Think. It is the one part of the show that's my favorite, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to tap into you being uncomfortable. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you a question. And then what I'm going to do with you is I'm going to tell you, do not use emotion to change it. I want you to think logically. Black and white, folks. New habits. I do not want you to make bad neurological, emotional habits. I want positive neurological habits. So let's get to it. There's a new term out there in social media that's taken everything by storm, and it's called gatekeeping. And what gatekeeping is, so you don't have to look it up, or you can look it up. Essentially what it comes down to is somebody is keeping the gate from telling you that your side or your story is just not that important. And so what you do when you call somebody a gatekeeper, you go, yeah, where you may have said that, but you don't understand where I'm coming from. Therefore, they're a gatekeeper. They're no good. We cancel them. I've dug up a saying that I've had in my head for a long time. Now, the fabulous thing about this particular saying is it's been stolen throughout thousands of years. So it's an Irish proverb. It's a Muslim proverb. It's this, it's that. But I went as far as I possibly could to Confucius in China. And this is what Confucius had to say. I was complaining that I had no shoes till I met a man with no feet. Now, in today's day and age, Confucius would be an ableist. He would also be a gatekeeper. So my question for you is gatekeeping actually good? Interesting way to think about it, isn't it? Is gatekeeping actually good for you, for your brain, for your mind? Now, what we're going to do is hopefully you got a little mad and that we tapped into that uncomfortability, and we'll see. We're going to answer that next podcast, which will be on toxins. I'm going to spend a section giving you my opinion, and then we're going to challenge you again. So, folks, I hope you learned something. The goal with these podcasts is 15 or 20 minutes of just listening to me babble. I don't want any guests at this point, and we're going to do this as long as I'm not bored. So, as always, I want you to be happy. I want you to be healthy, and I want you to just be.